In the mid-17th century, a group of people in England banded together in reform against the doctrines and teachings of the Church of England and the Catholic Church. Their reform caused much unrest in England, to the point where they were put on trial and were oppressed and persecuted for their beliefs. Due to this oppression, they decided to flee England in search of religious freedom. Between 1630 to 1641, the Puritans sailed across the sea to start a new life with their religious faith. Over 21,000 men, women, and families sailed across the arduous waters. Many of the Puritans settled in the New England area of America, building towns and founding colonies. The Puritans were a staunch and highly religious people. Their lives were surrounded by their faith in God and Christian principles. This affected how they dressed, how they were governed, how they should act in society, and in every aspect of their culture. They firmly believed they were the elect people of God. At an early age, children were taught the Puritan religion and were taught intensely from the Bible. The Bible was the foundation for the Puritan religion, dictating the words and laws of God on how they should live their lives. Every member of Puritan society was expected to read and study the Bible constantly. Puritan law required that all men, women, and children were to attend church on a weekly basis, to learn their faith and to resist temptations of the devil. Failure to attend church would lead to punishment. Another important aspect to Puritan life was the dominant roles of men in society. Men were primarily responsible for the governing and leadership of the towns and communities. They were considered to be the head of the family and were to be obeyed by their wife and children. Wives were to demonstrate religious piety and unmoving obedience to their husband at all times. Men considered women to be inferior. They were not allowed to preach in church or hold the same professions as men. Women's duties were to support their husbands, rear children, and maintain their homes. They were also responsible for making clothes. If a woman was disobedient to her husband, she was sinning against God and was punished for it. Women were sometimes hanged for civil disobedience. Other forms of punishment, such as the scold bridle, were harsh forms of punishment to correct irreverent or disobedient behavior. These strict rules and laws were a big foundation in maintaining order and maintaining the Puritans' God-fearing nature. Anyone who disobeyed these laws was disobeying God and therefore subject to punishment. Harsh punishment was inflicted upon those who were not focused on doing God's work. Puritans believed in the Old Testament methods of punishment and did not feel bad about punishing those who they felt needed it. They were confident that God's punishment would outweigh the punishment the guilty people endured in their lifetimes. Shaming was a powerful tool of control in Puritan society. The pillory, or stockade, was used for all kinds of crimes: blasphemy, kissing in public, arson, cheating, drunkenness, witchcraft, and others. If a person was found guilty and had to sit in a stockade, people from the town would jeer at them, spit on them, and generally humiliate them. Similar to the A for adultery that Hester was made to wear in Nathaniel Hawthorne's novel, The Scarlet Letter, branding was a punishment that was commonly utilized. For example, a person accused of stealing could have a T for thief emblazoned on his or her hand. A brand could be burned into the hands, cheeks, shoulders, or foreheads to publicly mark the individual and his or her offense. The event that the Puritans are most well known for were the Salem witch trials. The sin of witchcraft was punishable by death. This sinful act was considered to be in league with Satan, going against all of the laws of God. More than 200 people, mostly women, were accused of practicing witchcraft, the devil's magic, and 14 women and 5 men were hanged for these false accusations based off of untrustworthy evidence. The Puritans were a highly intolerant, very unforgiving people, strict in their faith and true to their religion. However, they were also an important part of history, informing America's moral and political foundation, and in the enduring character of the American people and culture.